recent book you wrote is titled Somewhere to Live, Rising to the Global Urban Land and Housing Challenge. Could you tell us a little bit about this book and what's the objective and what is the core message?
Well, thanks very much. What I've found over the recent years is that there are two aspects that really, really worry me about development. One is increasing inequality, globally and nationally in many, many countries, whichever level of economic development they are, whether it's the UK or any other country. So inequality is increasing, and that is causing instability. A housing crisis is now, I would say, global in many ways. And also the climate crisis, something which we've known about for decades, since Rachel Carson published her book in 1962, I think, Silent Spring. The information is being, scientific evidence has been increasing and is so detailed and reliable and frightening. But people, in many cases, are still in denial or still think that they can carry on as they are. So the climate crisis and inequality are two key issues. Now, I've always held that the built environment is a physical manifestation of the society that created it. So the physical environment we're looking at now is reflecting the inequality that we see globally and nationally and locally. It's also reflecting the failure to address the climate crisis. So excessive consumption by some and under consumption by others. Now, since the built environment is expressing the reality, that means it's part of the problem at the moment. But because it's part of the problem, it can therefore be part of the solution. So the motivation for doing the book was to show why it is expressing these big issues at the moment, but how it could be a way forward for addressing these bigger global issues, to make the world more sustainable environmentally and socially and economically. And so I've been toying with the idea of doing this book for a very long time, but of course when the COVID lockdown came, we were all stuck at home, mostly, and this was the perfect opportunity, not for the best of reasons, but it was the perfect opportunity to sit down and take stock. And in a way, humanity had that opportunity to take stock. You could, from Delhi, you could actually see the mountains of the Himalayas for the first time because air pollution was not so bad. And that gave me the opportunity to reflect, see what lessons I'd learned over the years and what lessons I could pass on to the next generation. And because my wife Rita has been a journalist at the BBC, I've tried to write it in a way which will reach not just policymakers, but be available to the general public. Because I think it's only when we get public awareness of these issues, inequality and the climate crisis, and the means available to implement change, that things will actually happen. It was also a great opportunity because I've worked with the World Bank, as I said, over many years. The trouble is that as a consultant, you go in, you meet everyone, you go everywhere, you read everything, you write your report, and you get on the plane. And you often never find out what happened. So the book was another chance to contact all the people that I'd worked with all these countries over the years, see what had happened, and learn the lessons from that. So it was, in a way, a sort of double distillation of experience, and a chance to say what could. And there are so many good examples of progress. The multidisciplinary approach that Development Workshop is doing, that I've been seeing this week, not just on land, but on early child development, on improving sanitation. Some of the really inspiring women, mainly women, but also men, who have been trying to improve the environment with very limited resources, but big smiles on their faces because they know what they're doing is valuable. And I think that was the thing I tried to encapsulate, these positive examples in the book, so that people could say, okay, we accept there is a problem, but now we can see that there are a multitude of ways forward in addressing it.
Thank you, Geoff. So the book is Somewhere to Live, Rising to the Global Urban Land and Housing Challenge.